This time, let us prepare for the NAPOLCOM PNP entrance examination preparation. In this presentation, let us talk more about criminal justice system as part of our general knowledge. So, what do you mean by criminal justice system? Criminal justice system is the machinery used by the society to prevent and control crime. It is the tool of a democratic government to protect the people against criminality and other peace and order problems. It is also an integrated process primarily concerned with apprehension, prosecution, trial, adjudication, and correction of criminal offenders. So, that is criminal justice system. If we say criminal justice system, it's a process concerning apprehension, prosecution, trial, adjudication, and correction of criminal offenders. So in early years, there are early forms of corrections in correcting mistakes, in giving sanctions, or in giving sanctions those violators of law. First, pungent poison. Next, gross stick mask. Third one, it's trephination method, and banishment. If we say pungent poison, allowing the individual to drink a pungent poison to drive out the evil spirit inside the body. While gross stick mask, they wear a gross stick mask and dance around the criminal to drive out the spirit of the body. While the trephination, this cruel one, were a piece of stone or wood which was a very sharp edge which will be used to make a hole at the forehead of a person who violates the law, and they pray or cast out the evil spirit of his body. And the fourth one, it's banishment, rejected by the community if commit a crime. So those are the early corrections, but this time we are already in a modern, so we are already following what we called as due process. What is the essence of justice under the Philippine Constitution? This under Section 1 of the Article 3 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall a person be deprived of the equal protection of law. So it means to say, there can be deprivation of life, liberty, or property if there is due process of law. The Section 1, Article 3 guarantees, this guarantee dictates that in order justice will be realized, there must be observance of due process. What do you mean by this due process? Due process is a guarantee against any arbitrariness on the part of the government, whether committed by the three branches of the government, such as the legislative, executive, or judiciary. So, due process is necessary in order to deprive the life, liberty, or property. So, it is a protection against the arbitrariness on the part of the government. The government must act only within the law of the land. If it exceeds beyond the law of the land, then therefore it commits grave abuse of discretion. So now, what are the kinds of due process? There are two kinds of due process: procedural due process and substantive due process. If we say due process or procedural due process, from the word procedural means process, it refers to the opportunity given to the accused to be heard. The opportunity to be heard. The accused has given the opportunity to be heard, which it hears before it condemns. The opportunity, the accused is given the opportunity to be heard before he is being given with judgment. It happens during trial. It happens upon inquiry. Before, there must be inquiry, there must be trial first before rendering judgment against him. Next, substantive due process. This requires the intrinsic validity of the law in interfering with the rights of the person to his life, liberty, or property. In this due process, substantive due process, it talks about the applicability of a law on a person. on the accused, whether this law has been violated by the accused. So that is the question in the substantive due process. So distinction between these two due processes is noticed where the procedural due process aims to protect the fundamental rights of a citizen by ensuring that government follow the rules and a free and fair trial is given to him. On the other hand, substantive due process prevents the government from exceeding the limits set upon itself by the law of the land. So, procedural due process, it refers to the accused must undergo a series of trial or free, fair, and trial must follow, and the government must follow the rules. And substantive due process, it gives the law. It limits the government. It provides or sets the procedure. It sets the law. Whether the accused has violated the law, the substantive due process puts a break. It put a break upon the government when it announces policy statements. If a court finds that the government has exceeded its limit, the rule cannot become the law of a land. So, that is due process. Again, there can be no deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be deprived of equal protection of law. So, all people similarly situated are equal, are covered by the law. Next. Now, as a general rule, our law, the applicability of our law is progressively. But there are laws that is being applied retroactively. That is now what we call as ex post facto law. If we say ex post facto law, this is a law that retroactively moves backward. As a general rule, our law is prospectively moving forward. So from this day, it will cover all those future acts, future events. But ex post facto law, it covers it retroactively. It goes beyond or it goes backward. It goes prior to its enactment. So it retroactively changes the legal consequences for status of actions that were committed or relationships that existed before the enactment of the law. So this ex post facto law, it changes the legal consequences which was made prior to its enactment. So, example, a law was passed for this day, or it took effective for this day. But the coverage of this law, the applicability of this law, covers those previously done. The law covers those previous acts was made. Previous acts were made. It covers those acts previously made. So that is a negative effect will be to increase the penalty. The acts were validly made, becomes a violation of a law. So that could not be. That's unconstitutional. That is a violation. But as an exemption to this ex post facto law, which will be retroactively applicable when that law is favorable to the accused, such as the GCTA, the RA 10592, the grant of the good conduct time allowance, where it is retroactively being applied. So it is in favor of the accused, in favor of the persons of deprived of liberty, to shorten their stay in the confinement, in the detention cell. So that is ex post facto law. As a general rule, a law must be proactively moving forward. It cannot be retroactively. Otherwise, it will become an ex post facto law, and it's a violation of the law of the land when it changes, it it covers those acts were made validly, it makes that act as criminal liable, as criminal act already. So that is ex post facto law. As an exemption if favorable to the accused, diba? Favorable to the accused, except those who are recidivist and habitual delinquent, or those who have already convicted twice, or an escapee. So they are not covered by the RA 10592. They could not be granted with good conduct time and allowance if they are recidivist, habitual delinquent, and convicted twice, or an escapee. Now let us go with crime. Understanding crime. What is a crime? As to legal concept, crime, these are acts that are in violation of criminal law. If we say criminal law, this refers to the revised penal code. These are acts or omission punishable by law as enumerated under revised penal code, otherwise known as the code of crime. So if we say omission, you ought to do. You are obliged to do it, but you failed. Ba? That's an omission. As to behavioral maladjustment, crimes, these are undesirable acts which are not in conformity with the accepted norms of conduct in the society. So the acts done is a violation to the normal customs, to the customs, contrary to the customs, contrary to morals, contrary to public policy. While crimes in its universally accepted concept may be defined as, in its universal accepted concept, it's a crime committed or omitted in violation of a public law forbidding or commanding it.